Alright, this is going to be the last update for the first fry, I guess. This is roughly 2 months. It's week 8 for these guys. You notice when I walk up to the glass, they'll kind of come up and think it's time to eat, even though I just fed them. They are, I don't know, there's some 4.5. There's some that are still fairly tiny, but for the most part they're 3 to 4, 4.5 maybe, a couple of them. Inches. The first set, which I'm gathering now, was 9. I thought I had 10, and then I thought I had 8, but I'm pretty sure one of the original ones had got kind of swept down into the sump tank and was there for over a month before I realized he was in there. But anyways, this is week 8 for these first fry that we had. They're doing well. I continue to move. There's still a handful over in the 55-gallon tank. There's still, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 that were in here. The second batch of fry, which is in here now, the large amount of these fish, are, I'd say, another couple weeks from going home. I want to be not adding a whole lot more to the main tank. I'm just going to try to look for the biggest ones that are doing the best and move them over. There's a handful in here that I'm just going to hang on to. This one here that you can see, he's the one that has got some type of deformity. If he'll turn towards us, it's like his jaw isn't formed well. So I had him in the main tank. I finally saw him and was able to catch him and move him back in with these smaller fish where he can compete. Had a small catastrophe this week. My siphons, I'm finding that these need to be cleaned out at least once a week. I don't know if it's just the surface of these clear tubing or what, but I've got to get like a pipe cleaner or something to make this easier. But what I end up doing is I've got these bamboo skewer things for grilling stuff with, and I just run it through the sink and kind of scrub it a little bit, and everything works great. But after a week or so, stuff kind of gums up. You can kind of see in the pipe, and the SLO pipe back here. Hopefully it'll focus on that. It's getting kind of funky. I need to get that cleaned up at some point. Tomorrow's going to be my main cleanup day. Get all the filters cleaned and everything else. My main addition that I was able to do a couple days ago was add the light for the Raft system. I transplanted a handful. There's some of these I want to get bigger root systems before I transplant in, but I just stuck some in just to see what happened. Everything in this back corner over here is what I stuck in there. This big kind of broader leaf lettuce immediately just kind of limped over, but it's starting to kind of perk up. It's kind of hard to tell, but I know those leaves are just real top heavy. I don't know. I've never done this lettuce stuff before, so I'm looking into probably getting some different types of stuff that's just harder that I've seen in videos on YouTube that just have a better root system, or at least are made for this. But I just transplanted a bunch of this. This is one of my starts. Let's see if I can get over here. I've got a bunch of this basil, one of the seeds that I had started, and there was one particular cup that just had a bunch of them that started up, so I spread those all out and put 1 or 2 in 5 of the different ones. I had trouble getting spinach to start. I've been trying to find different ways of getting it going. These are some that there's one that kind of didn't make it. It's hard to see, but there's some that are starting to kind of sprout up, or at least they're showing up, so I'm gonna let them do their thing. I did these today, this basil, these 5 here with basil, and I did these when I did the lettuce back here. I also did this tomato. There's I don't know what type it is, but it's just a tomato plant, and they're not dying, so these bigger ones are doing well. So I transplanted the rest of that cup that I had back there into this back. I'm leaving these 6 open. I'm just kind of waiting to see what does well over here that I can transplant in, what's doing best before I move it over. But I don't know, I might even do the Walmart start thing again to see how they would go. They never have lettuce. I know that's a huge one that drinks up lots of water, and believe it or not, again, I'm primarily more concerned about keeping the water clean than I am producing vegetables because of my classroom. I'm not where I could just harvest this stuff all the time. I need to be able to have something that stays and does a good job of cleaning up the nitrates and nitrite out of the system. So help also clean up the ammonia. But anyways, the catastrophe I spoke of earlier, the siphons gummed up, and so this water level, which you can see there's a mark right there, that's kind of where I know the system's doing good and the siphons are running properly. I can see that immediately where it's at. I've got that height set where I want it, but it rose up just enough to where the water level rose above these little breeding nets where all these babies are, and a bunch got out. When I came in to kind of check on them, I was able to catch a handful. I got my siphons cleaned up. I just kind of unplugged the circulation pump just to kind of let it all settle out. The water level dropped, and caught what I could. There's a handful that you never know, you're not going to catch them all, but I had 4 of these. They're all the same batch of fry, and I probably lost at least a quarter of them. When I came in, there was a bunch of these guys in these nets, like they were able to get up in there. Obviously, I put food in there. I put a plastic lid from a little container that kind of separates, and you can watch, they'll kind of peck up at the bottom of these nets. If there's any loose food they will, like right there, they will peck at it and kind of suck it through the net. But I put those lids in to create a surface where the food will stay up, and these guys are able to get it. So that's what they're doing there. Again, I said that this is a clean day tomorrow. I've got to clean these nets. I know these were not meant for this. They're meant for like guppies and having a handful, but not having several hundred fish in them at a time, and they're they just get scummed up real easy. I'm finding that they wash fairly easy though. But anyways, there's the 2 main tanks. This setup right here is doing well. They've grown really fast. Every time I'm able to get them in this tank, a separate batch, they grow really well. I'm able to feed them, all exact. It's easier to feed. That's the best way to come up with it. But anyways, I continue to take some out of here. Every time I get a good batch that's ready to that's big enough, I'll move them to the main tank. These, I'm at that point where I'm probably going to send them back to the pond boss that gave me these fish to kind of start with. And in the main tank again, they're doing well. Again, you watch when I come up to the tank, they all kind of come out of nowhere thinking it's time to eat. The plants over here, this is always the hard part because of lighting. This tomato plant is going crazy. It's got lots of flowers on it. I'm not, a gardener. You think there's something I'll be working on, but it's got lots of flowers. I'm assuming that's where the tomatoes start. I know it takes a while for these to mature and get to that point, but as far as size of the plant goes, it just shot up. It was every bit as big as that one, and it's just got huge. I've put a different type of tomato plant in here. It's a Roma tomato. It hasn't died. It's slowly kind of, I think they have to acclimate when they get in the system. So this is that red sail. It's still got some life to it, not much, but it's still reaching way up there. That's that red sail. I've had transplanted some other different, that's another Roma tomato in the corner. This is that mint that's just ridiculous, and the cinnamon basil. This particular bed was doing great. I was moving and the lights, one of the bulbs just kind of come out in my arms. I was messing with that duckweed, which is another story I'll tell you in a second. And it, I don't know if I messed up a ballast or something, but I can't get the bulbs to work, so I switched one of these that was over where my seed starts are, and some of it made it, some of it didn't. This cilantro stuff is one I bought out of the Walmart produce area where they have like these little starts of cilantro. I actually have some growing now, so I'm going to be moving those over here soon. This bed is not cycling well with the bell siphons. I've got to play with it to get it going, but two different type of peppers in the back. This is another one of the Roma tomatoes I had left over, but they're still alive. This is a sweet pepper, is doing well here. Of course, the sweet basil is doing its thing. The okra is finally, it's just kind of taken off. I got this one crazy tall one that's kind of blocking. everybody else, but anyways, it's not dead. That seems to be my measure, is if it's not dead, it's doing good. So another tomato. This is a stevia plant. I put one in this other one, but this stuff. They say it's like a sugar alternative. It's supposed to be like 30 times sweeter than sugar cane. So I don't know, why not? And last thing I want to show you here is my mutant strawberries. They just look like something's wrong with them. So don't think I'll be eating those yet, but at least they're producing fruit. So I'm kind of happy with that. So anyways, tomorrow's my big cleanup day. The room, I'll do a quick pan. It is just horrendous. I've got stuff where I was building the light tower there. I still have to build the rack that goes over here that has a shroud that covers up all this plumbing. This is the last thing I'll talk about, is my duckweed. Okay, that we had, I guess, flown in from Georgia. I had a student's dad went on vacation and brought back some stuff. It's just, I'm guessing it's my pH. It's so high. This system is operating at the low 8s, 8.2 to 8.4, which is crazy high for aquaponics just in general. I have stuff growing, but the duckweed just has not done well. It transplanted and looked like it did fine. I'd have some green ones and I have some brown ones, and I don't know if it was just from the trip or if it was from my water, adjustment to pH and that type of stuff. I will say that I have some growing that when I put the Raft system in, it just kind of made big waves, and so some kind of splashed upon here. And there's some here, and there's some in actually that's made its way up into these little net pots, and so I have them kind of everywhere. It's one of those things where you can't really contain it. I'm sure that's why some people around here don't like it. Getting in your ponds, that it's hard to maintain. But anyways, I still have some in one of the milk jugs, and I'm gonna take home and try to kind of put it put out in the sunlight and try to guard it that way, and see if I can monitor it and get it the number up, and then try to transplant it back. But I'm very appreciative of Mr. Estes and helping us out, but so far it just hadn't done too well. It's doing what it can. Let me get a zoom in on it. Ooh, back up. Focus, there it is. But some are doing good, some aren't. But we'll see. Stuff's supposed to it's supposed to double. It's supposed to split and whatever every 24 to 48 hours. And I've kind of went the other direction with it so far. I found a way to kill duckweed, at least reduce its numbers. But anyways, this was a long update. It's the system myself. We just fed them, so it's pretty gunky in there. I've got to clean tomorrow. I've got to get it to the point to where I can leave it. We're going on vacation here in a few weeks, and I've got to get it to where it's kind of self-carrying. All I got to do is feed them and kind of monitor stuff. But I'm still constructing. I still want to put in strawberry towers. I still want to do a lot of stuff, but I've got to get it into a stable place with football season coming. So anyways, thanks again for folks that are watching and keeping up with it. Again, I know this is a long one, so thanks for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, questions, comments, put them in there, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.